So Japan went to North America for a couple friendlies and did absolutely nothing. A horrendous 0-0 draw against Mexico, where genuinely there cannot be a single positive takeaway for the Samurai Blue, followed up by a 2-0 defensive disaster class loss against the U.S. men's national team. Before I say anything else, I should say that I love the Japanese national team, probably more than you do, and I want nothing more than them to be successful. That's why I'm angry, because I give a damn, because I care, because I do think Japan's the best team in Asia, because I do think they can make a semifinal at the World Cup, but holy shit, it needs to get better, and it needs to get better right freaking now. I can understand a coach wanting to rotate and wanting to give other players an opportunity. I understand that. What I don't get is having a 0-0 stinker, and I mean a smelly stinker against Mexico, and then saying, you know what, I think the A-team guys did well. Let's throw in, not even the B-team, let's throw in the C-team for this game against the United States, which also at the same time is insanely insulting to the USA. Like, again, Japan, where does this sense of superiority come from? Who do you think you are? In the footballing world, you've done almost nothing. This current generation of players has done nothing. Nothing at all. Beat Spain at a World Cup. Great. Beat Germany at a World Cup. Great. Then you folded against Croatia. What about the Asian Cups? Y'all haven't won an Asian Cup since 2011. I mean, it is so peak right now for Japan and how bad it is. I don't think people understand how bad it is. I get accused of being a Japanese simp all the time. And that's because I do put tons of respect on this team. Many of my favorite players ever, many of my favorite players currently are Japanese. I watch every single Japanese game. Most of the time, I'm live on the channel. Hit subscribe, mofo. But what I'm seeing now is disgusting behavior from Moryasu and the players. Everyone's going to blame Moryasu 100%. I think he has the bulk of the blame. But these players have to be better than this. And I know now there will be so many Japanese apologists down below in the comments who are saying that I'm being too harsh. Or, you know what, let's just go through the excuses one by one. Number one, they will say, it was a friendly, nobody wants to get injured, the game doesn't matter. You sound soft. And you are soft. And guess who else is soft? The Japanese national team. Japan is not good enough to have this mentality. I talked about this on the stream yesterday. Argentina was the first team in South America to qualify. The very first one. Guess what? They played the full A-team in a meaningless game against Venezuela. Oh, Jack, it was Messi's send-off game at home, so they didn't want to lose. Okay, granted, I mean, they absolutely murdered Venezuela too. It wasn't like they just played the A-team guys. Every one of those A-team players gave 100% in that game. The Japanese A-team players against Mexico? Oh my God. Ritsu Doan, Kaoru Mitoma, Takumi Minamino, hang your freaking heads in shame at how bad you were in that game. Anyways, getting back to Argentina. So they play the full strength squad in a meaningless game. I don't really think any games. A meaningless game against Venezuela. Okay. And then what do they do in the next game? The next meaningless game. They go away to Ecuador, to Quito, and they have 5 or 6 starters still in the lineup in yet another meaningless game. And so what's the excuse? Are Argentina stupid? Do they not know how to build a successful team? Is Scaloni, the guy who's won 2 Copa Americas consecutively, a finalissima in the World Cup, does he not understand football like Moryasu does? Does he not understand how to build a winning team? You are all idiots. This is a difference in culture, mentality, and desire. There's a reason that Argentina are World Cup champions. There's a reason Japan hasn't won an Asian Cup since 2011. There's a reason Japan has never won a knockout game at a World Cup. And you can't say it's talent. You cannot say it is talent, that they're not talented enough. We have seen teams way less talented than Japan make a quarterfinals before. You're going to compare Costa Rica 2014 to this Japan squad? I love that Costa Rica side. This Japan team sweeps. Maybe 1 or 2 Costa Ricans get in there. That's it. Keylor Navas, 100%. So probably 3. That's it. It's not talent. It's everything around it. It's the system. And it needs to be destroyed and rebuilt, or Japan's never going to achieve anything. Or they're certainly never going to achieve their potential. Even in that game I just referenced, guess who else was already qualified? And guess who also fielded the entire A team to try to win the game? Ecuador. Both teams played their starters in a meaningless game. And that is the difference between CONMEBOL and AFC. And look, Asia doesn't have the same footy culture. Not even close to CONMEBOL. But should that not be the goal? Should that not be the aspiration? Instead, we got this malaise that's just always hanging over the Japanese national team in particular, where there's this superiority that Japanese fans and Japanese players have because they are the most talented. That's an objective fact. They are the most talented team in Asia, but talent doesn't win you games. And again, you guys haven't won a trophy in 15 years. So you would think that at some point Japan would stop dicking around and take these games more seriously. I don't see it. The difference between elite teams in Japan is literally just how they approach the sport. That is it. The number 2 excuse that I'm going to hear, Moryasu wanted to learn things. Learn what, bro? Learn that the backups aren't good enough? Why don't you learn more about the A team? Why don't you find out a starting 11 that starts scoring some freaking goals against somebody not named China? Moryasu, how about that be the number 1 lesson that you're pursuing and you're trying to answer for Japan? Instead, you're playing a horrendous back 3, which did anyone need to see 90 minutes of that to say, you know what? I don't think Sekime is a right-sided center back. You know what? I don't think Nagatomo should be a starting defender for Japan in 2025. Did anyone need to see a game against the United States to learn that lesson? If you're intelligent, the answer is no. Maybe Moriyasu's not intelligent. I just don't think he's a winner. I think that's his biggest problem. The A team for Japan has not been good enough recently. And I'm so sick of people excusing this over and over again. I feel like I'm the only person on YouTube who is calling out this utter BS. I'm going to present an idea. Some of you will say this is revolutionary, and then you guys tell me if this would have made sense. Okay, so let's go back in time. Japan has a terrible 0-0 performance against Mexico. The players go to Moryasu, and they say, hey, coach, we didn't play very well. Can we get the 45 against the U.S. men's national team? Or, ideally, the manager himself has that conversation, says, you know what? That was shit. All of you were terrible outside of Zion Suzuki, our goalkeeper. The rest of you were terrible. I want you guys to play 45 against the United States, a United States that just got body bagged by our arch rival, South Korea. I want you to go out there, and I want the same freaking score at halftime. I want us to be winning 2-0 at halftime, and then I'm pulling all of you. And then I throw Sekime on. And then I throw Sano on. And then I throw Maeda on as a freaking left wing back. And then I throw on Ogawa. How about that? Then I throw on the other Suzuki, Yuito. How about that? Wouldn't that have made more sense? Wouldn't that have been a better plan? Because the A team wasn't good. So don't they need an extra 45 against another reasonably strong opponent in the United States? Wouldn't that have made more sense? Instead, they play a full squad of randoms who have never played together before, and they concede freaking 22 shots and 11 shots on target. Is anybody surprised? Japan deserved to get spanked in that U.S. game. And offensively, like I said, a fair scoreline, I think, was probably a 4-2 for the United States. I think Japan deserved a couple goals. I think the United States deserved more than 2. This really feels peak for the Japanese national team. I'm going to keep on saying the last good performance for Japan was Saudi Arabia away. What was the date of that game? Hold on, I need to look this up. That was October 10th. That was October 10th. That was almost a year ago. Was the last good result from Japan, the last good performance from Japan. No, I'm not counting Indonesia 6-0. You need to compare yourself to a top 30, top 20 teams in world football. Y'all, in the last 6 games, this is an updated stat for y'all. It was the last 5 games. The last 5 games, Saudi Arabia twice, Australia twice, and Mexico. Japan has scored 2 goals from open play. Let's now add the United States to that list. The last 6 games against reasonable opposition, 2 goals scored from Japan It is absolutely pathetic. It is absolutely embarrassing. I've seen so many, even Japanese journalists are like, oh yeah, I mean, the results against Australia, Saudi Arabia, it doesn't matter. Japan was qualified. They didn't care. Yeah, that's your problem, bro. That's your problem. You didn't care? That's your problem. You think Kobe Bryant ever took it easy? You think Michael Jordan ever took it easy? That's why they're the GOATs, and that's why Japan hasn't won anything since 2011. And that's why Japan can't win a penalty shootout. Sorry, can you take it or not? I don't care. You can leave and go to another channel that's just going to suck up to Japan every single chance and not tell you any of the truths. I don't care. Unsubscribe. I do not care. There are 4 games left until the World Cup, y'all. 4 games left. You had 5. You had a 5th one against the United States, and you sat the A team. An A team that's not good right now. So now you got 4 games left. Congratulations, Moryasu. You got Brazil and Paraguay next window. And you better not freaking bottle it. You better not bottle it. And I swear, dude, if Paraguay and Brazil both win, or I don't even care about the result, if both performances are bad, it could be 2 0-0 draws. Which a 0-0 against Brazil is okay. It could be 2 0-0 draws. If the performances are bad, and I see the Japan Times, or I see another Japanese publication that I have to use Google Translate to read, and maybe the translation's not 100% correct, and I will give them the benefit of the doubt when I freaking can. If I see that Moryasu was learning more things, if I see that Moryasu wanted to experiment against Brazil, if I read that these games don't matter because they're friendlies against elite teams from South America, my head is going to explode live on video. I'm gonna officially have tapped out. Like, I'm just selling more and more stock with Japan as the freaking hours go on, because this mentality is so important in football. You guys don't understand that. When you're an athlete, your mentality is everything. If you say, I got to win no matter what, if you say, I'm a killer, that benefits you. If you ever have played a sport, you've ever gone out there and thought like, this game doesn't matter, I bet you didn't play very well. I bet it wasn't your best performance. Well, Japan's been saying that for 12 months now. And so what? You're going to go into the World Cup having not cared or not tried for 18 months consecutively, and then you got to turn it on in the World Cup? Good luck. Good luck. God bless. Godspeed to the Japanese national team. It's embarrassing. This was a pathetic friendly window from Japan. South Korea, they showed you how it's done. South Korea, maybe you should take a couple notes from those guys. Maybe you should look at Sung Kyo-min after the game, upset that South Korea didn't beat Mexico. And they should have beat Mexico. They had a great game. Why don't you take notes on that? Where are the leaders in this team? Where's Wataru Endo getting pissed off? Where is Junya Ito? Where are any of the senior players in here? Is it because Hidemasa Morita wasn't there? Like, what is going on? Is there someone on the coaching staff who can please stand up and be a man? It is so wild, man. I hope that I'm wrong about everything, and I hope that Japan makes the semifinal of the World Cup. I think that they need to be making the quarterfinal. I think they're a top 10 national team in the world. But if you're a top 10 national team in the world when you're playing Bahrain, China, and Indonesia and Syria, that's not good enough. You have to look like that when you play the elite teams. And so far, the elite teams have made Japan look extremely average. And for this being the most talented Japanese squad of all time, the golden generation, some people say, of Japanese talent, although maybe you could say this is their second one. I feel like the Kagawa, Keisuke Honda generation, Yoshida, Nagatomo, that was pretty golden too. I think it's a little disrespectful to say this is the golden generation, but whatever. Golden generation part 2, upgraded if you want to say it. The diamond generation. Oh, this is sad. This is sad. This is concerning because I'm really afraid these guys are not going to reach their potential or even close. That's the rant video. I'm upset. You guys let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.